Good afternoon and welcome to the Summit. Hi, I'm Joey McWilliams, and you are live on the MidwestSports.net YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. It's a great day for small college sports. It's a great day here in the Midwest. And you know what? It's a cold day, too. But that's all right. It's a little bit chilly outside, as you can see. My friend on the other side of the screen there, man, he is bundled up, and he's even inside right now, but it's a cool day. I get to visit today here on the Summit with John Cookman. Now, this is a new show here on MidwestSports.net's YouTube channel. This is our opportunity to just have a summit with folks here in the Midwest and beyond, working with small college sports and all kinds of different opportunities that we have to get to visit with people. And so this will be that place here on our MidwestSports.net channel. Again, I'm Joey McWilliams. This is John Cookman, and he is the head of the Champion Sports Network and so much more. As a matter of fact, behind you right now, John, I see that you are at home at Southwestern Assemblies of God there in Waxahachie, Texas. You got a basketball game on the way. You also oversee the SAGU Sports Network, the Southwestern Assembly of God University Sports Network. So talk about what's happening behind you really quickly. You have something else to do today.
Yes, we do. There is at 3 p.m. There's a basketball game between Texas Wesleyan and SAGU. Men's and women's basketball will be happening, and that will be the first conference game of the season. So a big rivalry to kick off. I'm sorry. I believe they're actually going to play Arlington Baptist, I'm being told. And Texas Wesleyan is coming up the 1st of December, I think December 3rd. So the first week of December, it will be a sooner than later conference rivalry matchup. But tonight it's Arlington Baptist. But right on the heels of that will be the SAGU Lady Lions volleyball playing in the first round of the Sooner Athletic Conference tournament. And they are number 4 in the conference, and they will be hosting, if you're unfamiliar with how the Sooner Athletic Conference tournament works in volleyball, the first round is always hosted by one of the top 4 teams. So it's 8 teams. Teams host one of the bottom 8 teams. So we finished 4th. We'll be hosting the 5th team, which is Mid-America Christian University tonight. And that'll be live on the air at 6, I believe. And it's always a good turnout, but right now we're very excited that the Lady Lions have made the upper part of the first round of the Sooner Athletic Conference volleyball tournament. So that's what's going on here today, Joey, and we're very, very excited about that.
Now, I know we're going to give you an opportunity to say this again in a moment, but again, where do they find this? If they are going to watch tonight live, where do they find this?
Well, tonight's matchup will actually be on the SAGU Sports Network, and we multi-platform out. So we have a live stream primary viewing experience at livestream.com/SAGU Live, and you'll see it post up there live. Then we also are in some of the more familiar social networks like YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. So all you have to do is look up SAGU Sports Network on any of the search engines, Yahoo, not Yahoo, but YouTube, Facebook, and which is Periscope. Twitter uses Periscope to bring in the live feed.
All right, speaking now with John Cookman from, again, the SAGU Sports Network as well as Champion Sports Network. That's the logo I have with you right now, yep. John, because that's where I got to meet you this summer at the Sooner Athletic Conference Football Media Day. The Champion Sports Network was caring for the live stream coming out of the Sooner Athletic Conference, and nice to get to meet you then. So thankful to get to have you on my channel today. I've had a chance to be on yours a couple of times, so I'm really glad to have you on mine and definitely want this to be the first of many times for you to stop by. Talk a little bit then, really quickly, what is the Champion Sports Network?
Champion Sports Network is started to, and I'll just cut right to the chase, to be the ESPN media outlet for small college action all across America. NAI is most likely the synonymous acronym for small college sports, although I think depends on who you talk to. NCAA Division III is mostly small college, and some people consider Division II to be small college as well. And we want to cover those outlets that just don't get covered on the major networks like ESPN, Fox Sports, and other various larger college networks that are combining with ESPN. And this will give a platform to get the small college story out there. But there's a lot of great stories between not just the colleges, but these athletes who are high-level athletes, but for whatever reason, they're at small colleges. They don't get the exposure. So Champion Sports Network, and it's kind of based off of the NAID idea of characters of champion. So we really, really like that. We love what the NAI is doing for college athletics. So I wanted to kind of tag team into that mindset of the Champions of Character. So we called it the Champion Sports Network. Now, we're not officially endorsed, or we have no ties officially to the NAIA as an organization, other than we cover NAIA sports.
Right, I understand that, and that's fine. I mean, and you have to build up a network anyway to get to the point. I like the fact,
Sure.
John, that it's. I mean, there's no small vision here. This is not a little vision. I mean, this is a vision to reach out and really make a difference nationwide, and I commend you for that. And so more power to you in doing that. And you know what? From the small college perspective, I feel like Division II is still small college. I do. You were talking about Division III. We cover those with the MidwestSports.net through our 6 states here in Oklahoma and Arkansas and Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and Iowa. There are Division II, Division III schools because, as you mentioned, these are the colleges, and along with the NAI, these are the colleges that don't get the attention that the Division I schools do on any given Saturday or any
Right.
given Monday night, Tuesday night, so on during the basketball seasons and beyond. So it's nice to get to hopefully provide a voice and some pictures for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the mindset would be those that do not get the exposure at the highest network level or media outlet level. That's what we want to cover. There are great stories, and I don't even want to say down here, but using a euphemism, down here.
Yes.
Not down in talent or anything. If you've ever watched these small college athletes, there might not be as many per capita high-level talents, but there are a lot of high-level athletes and talents at this level. So, and then they're more of just the great character stories that are in place, and I think it's exciting, and I appreciate you coming along for the ride as well, Joey. You've been covering this a lot longer than we have, so we like to glean from your wisdom and the experience that you have in this sector, and I am sure you're going to be a staple into what we do, as well as we've both made great friends with the JV Sports Show and
Yes.
those guys, and NAIF ball, and the NAI basketball guys. They are all doing great work, and we're so excited about partnering with these other outlets that cover small college athletics, and we greatly appreciate the warm embrace that you and the other guys have had for us.
Well, it's been fun, John. It really has. And, I've gotten to make some friends. And that is really, really great, too. And good people. Good people,
Yeah,
in
really
front of the
is.
camera, behind the camera, and all the way around. So we're speaking now with John Cookman from the Champion Sports Network here on the MidwestSports.net debut of the Summit. So we are live streaming today. Thanks for watching on this chilly November day. And let's go into some football. You were talking about NAIF ball, a couple of guys from Tallahassee, Florida, that have put that site together and what they are doing there to promote the football in the NAI, I think they've grown so much this year. It's been fun to get to be a part of what they've got going on as well. And we have a vote in the poll, the NAI F-ball poll. I think that's been pretty good as well. You talk about football now, though. There are still 9 teams undefeated in the NAI. I mean, there are some collision courses coming, not only this weekend, a huge game this weekend in Orange City, Iowa, but along through the playoffs as well.
Well, the Iowa teams have just had a great season all the way around. Iowa has been well represented in NAI football. And so James Lex, my partner at CSN, and I have had a absolute blast covering the NAI football and working with you guys on this, being a part of you mentioned the poll that has been coming out weekly, which, by the way, I don't know if you were setting a trap for me to bring that up, but and I haven't really talked to you guys specifically, but I know the polling system all the way around in every different athletic sport in the NAI is a bit weak in the way it uses its poll. We could go off on that tangent if you want, because I find it extremely interesting.
No, it was not a trap, John. I promise. It was not a trap.
All right, I'll take your word for it. But it's a self-trap, I guess, because it's one of those platforms I like to stand up on and yell, because it is a little frustrating. But I'm glad that the NAIF ball guys has decided to do their own poll, because it takes a little bit of the bias out between the friend coaches. And it is not lost on me at all how hard this is for coaches to poll themselves, as well as all the other schools that are out there that are not a part of their conference. It is because of the lack of media, which is another reason why we started CSN, is to get that exposure into and empower the coaches and the commissioners with understanding of what's going on beyond just their bubble of the conference. And the more media exposure that is there, the better you can sense what is going on with this nationwide league called the NAI. So I get that it's tough to judge, rank, and create an accurate poll. And you're leaning on other people. Most of the time, they're in your friends' network to give you good, correct, unbiased information. But you know, as well as I do, as unbiased, we don't have a dog in the fight, really. And it just doesn't work out quite that way. So this poll, if you're looking for a good, accurate poll to understand how the actual quality, talent quality between teams is going, then I would look at the NAI F-ball poll. And you get to vote on it. James has voted on it from our side, James Lex, and I get to put a little bit of say into that in his voting. And I look at it and I think it's about as accurate as you could get. We dive deep into the numbers, and I know that's tough to do for coaches day in and day out.
Well, yes, and then take care of their own teams as well. I mean, you know, it really is. It's a big deal. The group of pollsters, if you will, that are a part of this. I mean, it's actually grown a little bit over the course of the season, and you know, the folks there have they brought in people from throughout the country, so it's not skewed one way or the other. I mean, I'm right here in the middle of the country. You are too. And by the way, you can say down here at the, not because DNAI is down at the level, you're just down on the map. You're in Texas. So
I am way down.
Down south. So you're down here. That's all right. But I mean, from both coasts, from Phoenix with the folks at the JV Sports Show all the way to Florida and Tallahassee with the guys at NAI F-ball. I mean, it really is reflective of the entire country. Well, you know, big game coming up then. You talked about the teams from Iowa, and not only the big game this weekend with Northwestern hosting Morningside. Morningside hasn't lost since I think, the Obama administration. You wonder. It's been a long, long time.
Yeah.
They have, I believe, now 24 consecutive wins on the docket, coming off an undefeated national championship season last year.
Yep.
Northwestern hosting Morningside. Grandview having a fantastic season as well.
Wow.
Guys, there are the Vikings still undefeated. And don't forget Dort. This is a team, the Defenders, that could sneak up on somebody. I don't know how they're going to wind up. I don't think they get into the playoffs. But if they did, the Defenders could make some noise there as well. So you're right. Iowa football really is well represented right now.
Absolutely. And so I feel like an open door is happening here to just kind of dive into what we think are going to happen in the
playoffs.
playoffs.
Hey, John, you feel free to open those doors, okay? It's all right.
Okay, all right.
It's your time, man.
I will. These guys cannot be considered an underdog. They've been at the top of the poll for pretty much the whole year. But if you haven't watched Marion play football, you're missing out. These guys have it on both sides of the ball. They're defensive juggernauts. They stop anybody and everybody. They haven't had an easy schedule, and I just see them to be a very formidable foe for a team like Morningside. Morningside looks like, and historically, we could just stay with the favorites in Morningside, and that's going to be a safe prediction. But if I'm going to step out and step away from the predictable Morningside pick to win it all, I think it could go to Marion very easily. I think that is going, if we get to see that matchup, that will probably be the matchup between the best two teams in the country. So I'm excited about that. I kind of hope it works out that way. But also, I do have a favorite in OUAZ. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, they dropped an easy one to Lyon College. Now, I don't say that to be disparaging to Lyon College.
I was just saying, the folks in Batesville may take a little umbrage with that.
And I get it, but I'm just telling you that OUAZ, they had a bad night, and it's one of those nights where nothing went right for you, and everything went wrong. Everything went right for Lyon, and they played great defense and stopped an offensive juggernaut like OUAZ is no easy task, and there is no greater. Other than Morningside, the number 2 team that has the widest margin of victory is OUAZ.
Yeah.
They have not had the toughest schedule, but they did what they were supposed to do, and they beat the doors off everybody they played except Lyon College. And they have almost 500 yards of offense, which leads the nation in offensive production. And their defense is not too shabby. It's not as good as Morningside, not quite as good as Marion, but their offense I'll put up against anybody in the nation. They have great receivers, a great running game, and an even better quarterback. If you haven't watched OUAZ, you're missing, because that's fun. It's fun to watch people be able to put up numbers and move the ball down the field. So you're always going to get that when you watch OUAZ. I think they got the one bad game out of their system, and they're going to be ready for the playoffs. Now, Kansas Wesleyan, another story. They're great, like Marion, great on both sides of the ball, but equally great. So Marion's a little better on defense than they are on offense, but Kansas Wesleyan Final Four contested last year. I think it's easy to see that they could be in the Final Four again this year. Just depends on how the matchups work. But if you see Kansas Wesleyan OUAZ matchup, you don't want to miss that one.
No, I think you're right. And Kansas Wesleyan making it to the Final Four last year, and there are detractors for the Coyotes who would say, well, they had an easy route to get there because
I don't think so.
Geographically where they are. Well, I don't think so either, and definitely not this year, because it would be very likely for Kansas Wesleyan to see OUAZ along the way. If it were to get to that Final Four, that's not an easy route to get there.
Not at all, and it's not a simple system to figure out how the top 16 teams or top 20 teams that get into the final 16 of the playoffs works because they do have a geo fence per se around how they match them up. So it's not 1 versus 16 or on down the line like a typical tournament scenario would work out. They do pay attention to how far a team has to travel, and they whittle it down. Now, ultimately, it could be a East versus West matchup if that's the way it works in the long run. But with small college, the implication will hold true with small budgets. So it's a very expensive venture to get into postseason play in the NAIA. And the NAIA smartly and wisely tries to help compensate how much a team has to spend because they just don't have the booster clubs. They don't have the ability to an endless pot of money to just send, make cross the country trips every time they need to play somebody.
You're exactly right.
It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. And I agree with you. We could see, because OUAZ is late in the polls, when I down further than Kansas Wesleyan, you could see a Kansas Wesleyan OUAZ early matchup. I would hate to see that in the first round. I hope that doesn't happen, but it conceivably could happen in the first round of the playoffs. And that would be, to me, a top 4, at least a top 8 type of matchup. And it would be a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, it would be fun to watch. You're exactly right, John. I unfortunately could see it happening in the first round as well, and I think that would be sad if that were the case, because I think that, again, detractors to one program or another would say, well, you lost in the first round. Well, you lost to an incredibly good team in the first round. That's just the way it fell. Also,
either way it goes.
Yeah, and hey, listen, to win in the playoffs, you got to play everyone. You play who winds up in the bracket on your side, and that's just the way it is. Right. I think that there are also a lot of folks who would agree with you with what you were talking about Marion as well. If you're east of the Mississippi, Marion is probably your pick. If you're west of the Mississippi, Morningside is probably your pick, and it could be potentially a very, very good championship-type game if that were the way that were to fall. Speaking now with John Cookman here from the Champion Sports Network on the Summit here on the MidwestSports.net YouTube channel. And John, really quickly, as you've talked about what your network does and what it is looking to do in the future, and wow, some big things ahead. I look forward to seeing not only how it grows, but I want to be a part of it as well. But
you will be.
But you really quickly, you have volleyball going on, and you were talking about volleyball. NAIA volleyball is fun to watch, and the playoffs are just about here. Conference tournaments going on. I think the biggest thing that caught my attention within the past 7 days was in the GPAC, and Northwestern, a team that had run the table, 28 consecutive wins, and I don't think a team like that, I don't think you overlook anyone, but in the quarterfinals of the GPAC conference, slipped up just a little bit, and College of St. Mary, with a 4-set victory, eliminate Northwestern from the conference tournament. Now they're going to be in the national tournament. There's no doubt about that. Yep. But I think that should make some noise too. And also, I want to mention, I don't think the Flames are a bad team. They're the 8th seed, but 23 wins coming in. That's nothing to sneeze at.
Well, notoriously speaking, GPAC is the volleyball conference. And, they do a lot of things well, but they're known, that corridor is known for great, great volleyball. And there's a reason that they host the tournament up in, I believe it's Nebraska, the national tournament. And they have fantastic volleyball. The way they recruit, it just happens in that part of America. So it is conceivable that your bottom tier team in the tournament is good enough to be a number one. A little different in some of the other conferences. That's not necessarily going to be the case, say, in the conference that we're most closely affiliated with, Sooner Athletic Conference. And by the way, I do want to give Oklahoma City University a plug, because I feel like they are the number one team. They're the team to beat. And I have an algorithm that I put together that predicts the feasibility of wins and losses when you match up a team, and it's about 87% accurate. So that's as good as I've seen any other type of algorithm be in this particular case. And by far, OCU sits as number one on that. Now, I know it comes down to, in the minds of Raiders and the way they poll it out, is, again, the good old boy network. Everybody talks, and if you're closer friends with, one Raider coach, with another one, you take their opinion and word a little more seriously than someone you don't know if you make a phone call. But these guys do try to do a good job. It's almost an impossible task, just like I said, for football, even more so with volleyball. It's hard to get. There's so many more teams in volleyball than there are football. So it's very, very hard to get right as a Raider, as a polling agent, trying to make these things work out. And Sooner Athletic Conference does not get a lot of notoriety for being a strong volleyball conference. Therefore, they just get overlooked a lot. So when when a team like OCU pops up, they've lost one time this year. The wide range between the first, which I would call OCU first, and second, between margin of victory, is just, it's not even close. They're twice as good. They beat their opponents twice as badly, I guess you could say, as the next team closest to them. So they're kind of like Park was last year.
Yeah.
Park was just a juggernaut, and you just couldn't beat them. It was kind of fluky if you did, and that was between 1 and 2.
Yes.
So I see OCU not quite as good as last year's Park, but they're in that same type of conversation. And just be ready to watch OCU. They're going to make it a long way. It is. I'm going out on a limb, and I think it's a strong limb. They're a guarantee for the Final Four, and I believe very possibly could win the whole thing.
All right. Okay.
Sorry, I got off.
No. Hey, listen. First off, and I know that I'm probably not in your monitor, but when you see this during your conversation, I had a granddaughter come up, sit on my lap. I was handed a grandson so I could kiss and say goodbye to. And somewhere down the line, somebody got $20 out of my wallet. So all of that having been said,
that is awesome.
I know it's live TV here, live here sports talk. You have to love that.
I guess you were glad I went on. I think
no, but I followed you all the way through, and I agree with you. And I was looking, by the way, 28-1, and you have to mention that as well. 28-1. There are not that many teams in the NAI that have just that one loss, and I agree with you. You factor all of those things in. OCU can make a run, not getting the attention that some other schools are right now, but yes, that's one of those things. They're not a sleeper team, and some people might say they're a sleeper team. I agree with you. I don't think they're a sleeper team right now. So, well, as we wrap up our time, then John, in talking about football, talking about volleyball, the fall sports are starting to come to the conclusion here in small college all the way around. Division III, the NCAA tournament with soccer and volleyball as well. NCAA Division III, I know we don't have time to go into that today, but already into the national tournament. Division II conference tournaments right around the corner. It's a fun time. This crossover time right now is a really fun time because we've got to talk about volleyball, we got to talk about football, and you have a basketball game going on.
I know. It's crazy. And
by the way, aren't you glad that you're not calling this game?
Yes, I am.
Because you need to find your Arlington Baptist notes if you
I know it. That was slipped up. I was actually preparing because we are doing the Texas Wesleyan, but I just got my days mixed up.
No, that's all right. I got to thinking, I was like, wow, have we gone into conference play already? I was looking around going, man, I'm behind. Okay, that's okay. It's early. These things happen early.
Everybody's just trying to get their wins right now.
That's true. That is true. But it's a fun crossover time.
Yeah. Hey, and speaking of soccer, just quickly, NAIA soccer, if you haven't watched it, it's maybe one of the most competitive perspectives and leagues in soccer just in general. There are a lot of great semi-professional soccer teams at the NAIA level. I don't know how closely you follow it, but they bring them in from all over the world. All of these schools bring in a lot of international talent.
They do.
And they're fantastic. It's a lot of fun to watch. If you're into soccer, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Well, I had a chance to meet some of the folks from Great Britain when I was doing some work up at Mid-America Christian 2 or 3 months ago, and they have a very good team there. The Evangels are doing well. Also, from the soccer perspective, this weekend I have the privilege of getting to call 2 conference soccer championships. I'll be working with the Great American Conference for the Women's Soccer Championship, which will take place in Weatherford, Oklahoma, not Weatherford, Texas, Weatherford, Oklahoma. And then that is on Saturday. Then on Sunday, it will be up in Hays, Kansas, as Fort Hays State is hosting that. The Men's Soccer Championship on the Sunday. So Southwestern Oklahoma, Fort Hays State, the respective regular season champions in the Great American Conference. Wow. Soccer is fun. It is a fun one to watch. And, boy, there's something else about that, too. Not only the players have an international flavor to them often, the fan bases who really come to these soccer games, they make it interesting as well.
They really do. Well, it's one of those international sports that everybody seems to love. It's the largest competitive sport as far as a fan base is concerned in the world. So when we air our soccer games, we have a much larger viewing audience that outside of the United States than inside of the United States. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, they love soccer so much they peruse YouTube and just find live soccer games. I didn't even know that was a thing. But it is very much a thing, and a lot of international soccer players are looking to come to the United States because they can, most of the time, even at the NAIA level, get their college education paid for or at least subsidized in some way. So it's a big thing to be able to say you could go to America and play soccer, although we're not known as the elite soccer clubs of the world. The college system has a huge pipeline to the international community, and it's part of the reason is people want to get an academic experience and education in America.
Right, and this is a good place to be. It really is. God bless America. By the way, happy Veterans Day, and want to say thank you to all the veterans for what you do that John and I can do this right now. Very, very grateful to all of you who have served and who are serving. We're very, very thankful. John Cookman from the Champion Sports Network. This will not be, by any stretch of the imagination, the last time you were on my channel, and I appreciate you being with me today. I hope to get to speak with you really quickly then as we find out a little bit more about the NAIA football playoffs, the volleyball brackets, and pool play. And the field for volleyball will be set, I believe, very quickly. Get one more weekend out of the way. The bracket for football will be set. So, John, let's plan on next week getting to visit a little bit more. In the meantime, thank you so much for being with me as we debut the Summit here on MidwestSports.net.
It's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much, Joey.
All right, I'm Joey McWilliams. This has been John Cookman. I want to speak for him. Thank you for watching us here on the Summit. Please be sure to like and to share. Subscribe to this channel. We are a growing channel, and it is a Midwest feel to not only this channel but also to all of our sites. I encourage you to stop by OklahomaSports.net, ArkansasSports.net, KansasSports.net, MissouriSports.net, NebraskaSports.net, IowaSports.net, and these videos will also be on MidwestSports.net as well. But please do keep us in mind here on the YouTube channel. God bless you. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.